Hi, welcome to our first science lesson. The name of the series is Science Teacher Desperately Trying to Teach Her Kids at Home. We hope that you're having a great day and that you're ready to learn a little bit of science while we're all at home. This is something you can do at home, and we have our assistant Penelope who's over here taking notes. So you can take notes along with her if you like. So the lesson today is all about density. First thing we're going to do is spell that word. That word is D-E-N-S-I-T-Y. Density. You maybe heard that word before. So what that word means is it basically means how much stuff, it's not a very sciencey word. Okay. It's basically how much stuff is in a certain space. When you get older, you might hear that as how much mass is in a certain volume. But for us, we're going to use the word stuff. Stuff is just a basic word for matter, which is what makes up everything. So density is how much stuff is in a certain space. Super simple way to think of it. You probably have interacted with density a lot and you might not even know it. If you've ever had one of these, thanks, Grandma, for the balloon. Hey, Vaughn, Mommy is teaching science on the internet, so it's time for you to listen or be quiet. Thank you.
I can't see any light on my
Your iPad's probably dead, honey. Desperate. So this balloon is a great example of density because do you know what's inside of here? Oh, it keeps trying to get away.
Helium.
Helium. Oh my goodness, my daughter knows some science. That's awesome. Good job. There's a special gas in here called helium. And helium is, I don't know, would you say it's lighter or heavier than the air around it? Oh my goodness, this balloon keeps getting away. What do you think? If it were heavier, it'd probably be on the ground, like this orange. Definitely heavier than air, more dense than air, right? Because if I let go of it, oh, it keeps falling, right? So helium is the opposite. It's actually lighter than air, which is why it goes up. If you're not sure what's in the air, I suggest we all take a moment and take in a big breath of air. Take in a big breath, ready? And let it out. Let's do it one more time. You know what I need to do? I need to inhale good stuff and exhale bad stuff. I'm going to inhale patience. And I'm going to exhale anger. Okay, that's good. That feels good. Okay, what you just breathed in was air, which is not just one thing. It's a lot of things. It's mostly nitrogen. Yeah, and there's also oxygen. And there's carbon dioxide, which is what comes out of our mouth that the trees really like. And then there's things like dust, air, water. There's water in the air. You might not know that. So helium is an element that is found in the sun and other stars. And it's found right here on Earth in balloons. And it's less dense than air. Okay, let's get this one out of here. It's time for another density experiment. So in this first experiment, I have a very simple substance. What does it look like? Describe its properties. What does it look like?
Water.
It looks like water. Ooh, that's a good hypothesis for what it might be. This mystery substance could be water. What else could it be? I think it looks like flat Sprite. You know that Sprite that you leave in the fridge for a long time and then you pour it out and it just tastes like thick, flat sugar water. So I'll tell you it is water. Some of its properties are that it's clear. It's the only substance on Earth that exists as a solid, liquid. What's the other state of matter?
Gas.
And a gas, that's right. And there's plasma, that's a whole nother. That's for when you're older. Solid, liquid, and gas are the three states of matter, and water is the only substance on Earth that can exist in all three states, right? Solid would be ice, liquid, water, and gas is what's in the air, especially in the summer when it's really humid and wonderful. Summer's coming. Okay, so I have that substance. I have to say, water has a density, and that density really never changes. It's pretty much the same on Earth all the time. That is big and heavy, and if you drop it, it will smush you. So please put it against the wall. It's true. It's a greenhouse. Okay, here. It's a greenhouse, buddy. Okay, here's our second mystery object. So because you're at home, I'll move it around a little bit for you. Ooh, it kind of sticks to the edges of the glass. It's pretty thick. You use it for baking sometimes, especially brownies. You can cook things in it. It's a type of food. Anyone have a guess? It's oil. So we're gonna do a little experiment first. But first, I want you to come up with a prediction for this experiment. We're going to see which one of these liquids is the most dense. What does that mean, the most dense? I think we might need to do a quick little experiment with some bread first. Bread's like my favorite thing. I use the ends of the bread so I'm not wasting food. I have 2 loaves of bread. They have the same mass. They have the same amount of stuff in them. And I'm about to make, right now they have the same density, right? They take up the same amount of space. I'm gonna make one more dense right now. You ready? I'm smushing it. And smushing it. And smushing it. I'm squeezing all the air out of the bread. All right. This one's a lot smaller, isn't it? Takes up less space, has more stuff, which means it's more dense. So smushed bread is more dense than fluffy light bread. There's more air in here, right? So let's see. If something is more dense, it's going to sink. More dense than water. If something is more dense than water, it's going to sink. Let's see. I have something I know is more dense than water. I know that metal is more dense than water. Let's see if it sinks. Come on, back up. It's important. Mama's videotaping something. That's right. Okay, so let's see how the penny sunk. Metal is more dense than water. So what about oil? Which one do you think is more dense? Do you think water is more dense or oil is more dense? What I would like you to do now is in your notebook or in your brain, think to yourself and come up. I mean it. I'm going to try to be patient. Which one is more dense? I want you to think in your head. The one that is more dense will sink. The one that is less dense will float. So in your brain, think about it. Make a prediction. You could write something like, I predict that blank is more dense than blank. We have water, we have oil. I predict that blank is more dense than blank. Vaughn is doing an experiment called sink or float. Did it sink or did it float, Vaughn? It sunk. That's right. So apparently, Kiss Me, I'm Irish pins, more dense than water. Okay, do you have your prediction in your head or on your paper? Let's see. Penelope, would you like to do the honors of pouring one into the other? Oh, look, observe what's happening. You can try this at home with your parents' permission. So, hey, Vaughn, which one is floating? What is that? Do you know?
Oil.
Oil. It's yellow. So if you notice, the oil is floating on top of the water, which means which one is more dense? What do you think?
Water.
The water is more dense. So oil is less dense than water, and water is more dense than oil. Oh, that must mean that if you had a bottle of oil and a bottle of water, one would be heavier than the other. Probably the water would be heavier. Okay. So I wonder if you could experiment with other things in your house with your parents' permission. Things like honey or corn syrup or, oh, you know, it's really fun, coconut oil. Or you could experiment with all kinds of things.
Can we use honey?
We have, Vaughn, why don't you go find an object, not honey, a solid object you'd like to do a test on. We're going to try an experiment called sink or float. All right, so sink or float. Right now, you can pause the video if you like, and you can go get your own bowl of water and your own pile of stuff that you want to experiment with. Vaughn has found something. First, let's get a look at what that is. Let me show it to the people at home. It is paper, and it's not as big as it looks in there. Okay, Vaughn, go ahead and experiment. Let's see what happens. Oh, okay. It looks like it's floating. It's floating. So paper is what? More or less dense than water? What do you think? It's floating on top of the water, which means it is less dense. Fantastic. Vaughn found something else. It's some
Metal
kind
ball.
of a, oh, that's really interesting. Hold on. Look what's happening. Look what's happening. It's a wood ball with metal in it, and the metal is sinking, but it looks to me like the wood is doing what?
Floating.
Floating because it's standing straight up. That's a really interesting object you picked there. So speaking of wood, I have this. Would you like to put this in? There's a piece of wood from a clip. And look at that. Wood is floating. This might be what you see in the metro parks when you see logs floating. Wood is less dense than water, so it floats.
What about my pencil?
Let's try it out. Pencil's tricky because it's got some metal on it, but looks like it's floating,
ball?
so it's less dense.
A ball and a broken crayon.
Okay, Vaughn is going to test out a ball
Ooh.
and a broken crayon.
The ball?
Oh, for a second there it looked like the crayon was going to sink, and then it floated. Okay, so this is, let's show everybody at home what this is. This is a piece of metal.
That's mine.
Yeah, Vaughn, how did you make this?
Can you not use that?
We could put it in the water and test it.
But I don't want to.
Okay, he doesn't want to do it because it's special because he welded it in the backyard with Grandpa. I know, that's crazy. We won't use that one, that's okay. Metal, we can guess it would sink. Marker, go for it. Markers float. Maybe because there's so much air trapped in there.
I'll go
Okay,
find more.
so here is your, you guys get plastic, let's see. Plastic is floating. Plastic is pretty light. It's not very dense. I have a challenge for you to pause the video.
Us?
Hold up, not you, Vaughn. At home. Oh, look at those calluses. At home, pause the video and go get a piece of aluminum foil. Okay, so pause the video, go get some aluminum foil. We're gonna go get some aluminum foil. What is that? No, don't get the eraser wet.
Baba. I know something. What probably that's too big.
No, it's perfect. Hi, welcome back. We came up with one more thing. We decided we wanted to test this orange. So make a prediction in your head. Is it going to sink or float? Is it less dense than water or more dense than water?
Sock.
Vaughn, don't get the sock wet. Let's see.
It doesn't
What do you think about the
fit me.
orange? I don't know. This is one I'm not sure about.
I think
love
that
when
it
I
is
learn
more
something
dense.
with you guys. Okay, what's going on? Is it touching the bottom of the bowl?
Yeah,
No.
I think so.
No, it's not.
Oh,
No, it's not. Yeah.
It's not. Look at that. Oranges are less dense than water. Who knew? I didn't. Okay, so here's your challenge. We have our foil. We have a piece of foil. Back this up. Your challenge at home is to see if you can, not yet, see if you can design a boat that floats, okay? And I'll give you a hint. I'm going to tear this piece up. If you take your piece of foil and you ball it up into a ball, don't do it, Penelope, I'll just show them. Look what happens.
A boat what floats.
It floats. Oh, Vaughn made a boat that floats at school. You can also, that's a great idea, Vaughn. You can also do this with other materials around your house. I'd really like to see your boats. If you want to send me a picture on Facebook from your mom or dad to show me how your boat floated or didn't float, try to make one float as much as you can. Maybe you can have a contest with your brother or sister. Maybe, Penelope's designing a boat right now. Maybe she could send you a picture of her boat. But we just wanted to say hi and that we miss all of our friends and that we want to do a little bit of science every day. Vaughn says hi. We're going to do a little bit of science every day. And by every day, I mean whenever we get around to it. Because we're going to all have to be really flexible with school. Because school's going to look a little different for us right now. But hopefully we can be part of your school every day. Today's lesson was density. Thank you to Grandma. Penelope wants to show off her boat. Here it is.
Here's a trick. You make sure that there's air inside the boat and it floats.
Look at that.
What about this?
All you have to do is trap some air inside of anything and it will float. Mom wants to try one more thing and then we're going to say goodbye.
A cup.
Oh. Wait. Even the cup floats. What happens if you put water in the cup? Will it float? Sinks. Crazy.
That's
Have a great day. Say bye, everybody. Bye. You want to say bye, Vaughn? All right.